Hey, my name's Mark Fletcher. I'm the owner of Tower Systems. This is Tim Batt.
Yes.
Tim, you've been with the company for
Look, nearly 20 years on and off.
almost a lifetime.
Yeah, it is.
So, look, we're going to talk today about our firearm software. We're a vertical market software company. That means we develop, we sell, and we support software for really specific marketplaces. And firearms retailers is one of those marketplaces. Now, we've got about 50 firearm stores using our software.
Yeah, ballpark, yeah.
And so this firearm software we sell is built on our standard point of sale, but then it's got some really unique facilities for firearms retailers. So why don't you take us through some of those unique facilities, things that are going to, hopefully excite firearms retailers, where they're going to look at it and say, hey, that's my business.
Yeah, sure. Look, I'll give you a bit of a snapshot of some of the key features. I'll kick it off by sharing my screen.
Good stuff. So while Tim's setting this up, he's going to take us actually into the software so that we're live in the software right now. And this is what a firearms dealer would see when they turn on the software.
Yeah. So what you see here is essentially the main dashboard. This particular screen is customizable as well, and customizable by machine. So what I have here is essentially the screen I use for demonstration purposes. Yep. But that said, we find some firearms dealers, they'll customize this. So they might have their back office dashboard looking like this, whereas at the register, you can change that. So I might have my point of sale user, and I might have that to be a far more cut down version where they can only get into point of sale repairs and do the end of day process.
And so just while we're there and you're talking about that, with the software, I've got the ability, haven't I, to control what other users of the software can get into. In other words, I can level protect parts of the software so that if I've got some information that's very secure, I can make sure that staff members can't get access to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can password protect all the areas, but that said, you can also really cut back that dashboard so they simply don't see those facilities as well.
Okay.
And so that's where that control comes in. And it just, if someone is really only using it for point of sale, it just keeps it simple as well. They're not getting, lost in more of a sea of buttons. Whereas on that administration PC, if you've got a far deeper workflow, you can customize the buttons to suit.
Yep.
And so they adjusting this screen is really straightforward. You can add columns, add rows, and shortcuts to your various facilities.
So give us something firearm specific.
Okay, yeah, sure. So something firearm specific. Look, one of the key facilities is serial number tracking. Serial number tracking can work in a couple of ways. We have some businesses that simply put in the serial number when they sell the product, so it'll give you a little prompt to ask for the serial number. Mm-hmm. But the best way to do it is to track it from arrival to sale. So when you process it
from arrival to sale, that is when the item comes into the store to when it's sold.
Correct, yeah. So when you receive it in, so if I was receiving in my Ruger Precision, for example, as I bring that into stock, it'll stop and say, hey, tell me the serial numbers of that product you're arriving. And where that becomes really powerful is then at the time of transacting it. So I'm on the point of sale screen here. So if I was selling a Ruger Precision, I could either search for it, I could scan its barcode, or I've just set up a touchscreen button here to make it easy. So I can hit that one. It shows me an image of the product, so I can confirm, yes, that is what I'm selling to the customer. And you can have unlimited images against any product. When I select that, it actually shows me all the serial numbers of that particular firearm that I have in stock. And a really cool thing with that is you can also see the date that each one came in. So if I was selling this Ruger Precision, I could look at this and go, well, hang on, I got some in on the 1st of the 9th, and I also got some in a month ago. I'm going to grab one of these older ones and sell to the customer. So that way I'm always selling the oldest stock on hand rather than the newest. So I can simply select that and add it to the transaction.
Yep.
That's going to do a couple of things. Firstly, it's going to take that serial number out of stock. When I select my customer on this transaction, it's also going to record who purchased that. So I can always search for the history of that firearm. Sorry, my computer's making a weird noise. So I can go back and search for that serial number, and I can find any history for that product.
Mm-hmm.
But that also flows through by doing serial number tracking there and putting it against a customer. That flows into the next part of the software that I think is very important. So back on my main screen here, I've also got repairs.
Mm-hmm.
So I can jump into repairs and I can go in and add a repair in for a customer. This will allow me to track the repair firstly against the customer, but also against the particular product that they purchased historically. So I can keep a full record of service history against that firearm as well, even down to taking images against it when they bring it in for repair. And when I complete a repair, it'll even send them a text message or email to say, hey, Mark, your repair's completed. Come and pick it up when you're ready.
Now, with the repairs, now that you're in there, can I also track the labour that I'm investing in undertaking a repair?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you add a repair in, so if I'll just hit my customer button here, and I'm just going to choose my account out of my list. So I can continue through. As you select a particular job, so I'm not going to link this one to a product that I've purchased. I can just simply say this is against a rifle, and I could put all of the specs in against it. I can also put any notes. So I could say scratch on barrel.
Mm-hmm.
Spell that right. And I can continue through and I can select what type of job I'm doing for this repair. So I might have, like some customers have like a gold, silver or bronze tiered service, and I can have them all preset in my jobs. And when I select one of those, that can also have a preset amount of labor allocated to it as well. And all my charges can be preset, all of that sort of information can be pre-configured.
Okay. And so by being able to track the repairs, I can track any work that's being done on a firearm.
Yeah.
And even if the work is being done outside my business, I can still track it when it is billed back to me and therefore billed onto the customer.
Yeah, absolutely. So within this screen, I can see my repair here. I could jump in. If this was going to an external repairer, I could flag where it's going to. If it's going through a courier, I can track that sort of information against it as well. And even if I use any parts or extra labor or accessories against this repair, I can scan them all against it, and that will all form part of the job history as well.
Okay, so what else is in the software that is unique to firearms dealers that you think would be useful for them to see?
So look, it's not so much unique to firearms dealers. Like a lot of our customers use this, but reorder by sales. It's quite a straightforward facility, but really, really powerful. Handy for things like simply your day-to-day reordering. So I can go into order by sales, and I could come in here and I could select a supplier. So I'm just going to say this is, for example, I'm just going to say it's, sorry.
So while you're setting that up, from a benefit point of view, reorder by sales is really helping me make sure that I'm ordering what I'm selling. In other words, I'm not going to overstock my business with inventory that isn't selling.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So, you could jump in here and you could go, okay, I want to reorder my ammo, and I want to simply reorder it based on my last 2 weeks of transactions.
Yep.
So that's the most, simplistic way of using it. But that said, a more powerful way to use it is, things like duck season. If, next March when duck season kicks off, you could jump in at the end of February, for example, and you could say, okay, well, show me all of the shotgun ammo that I sold between March and May last year. And you could use that as a foundation for that ammunition reorder process.
Now, if I wanted to take that a step further, bit of a left field question here. And let's say most of my sales I'm tracking back to a customer. If I then wanted to shoot an email or send an email out to the customers who bought shotgun ammo this time last year, could I extract that information from my database?
Yeah, absolutely.
And feed that across to MailChimp or something and send out an email to those people?
Yeah, either using the marketing tools here on the main screen, or we've also got events built into the system as well.
And so equally, you had an example before about selling a particular firearm. I could then target, if I had something that might be particularly useful for customers who bought that firearm, I could use the marketing tools to extract that data and then target those customers and be very focused with the marketing that I do from within the software.
Yeah, absolutely. And even send those customers an SMS direct from the system as well.
Well, you mentioned SMS before when we were talking about repairs. I'm imagining that that's integrated within the software to be able to automatically send the SMSs.
It is correct, yeah. So without any interaction from the user themselves, it will simply send that in the background.
And when we were talking about firearm stock before, you showed with the firearm you had on the screen, you had a couple of images there. Let's say I'm creating a website for my business and I want to connect the website to the point of sale software. Can those images go from the point of sale software to the website?
Absolutely. The images, the extra text, separate pricing for the online price as opposed to in-store.
So I can have two sets of pricing. I have pricing in the shop and pricing online.
Yeah, even trade price. If you sell anything wholesale, you can have a separate tier for trade pricing as well.
Okay. And what else have you got that you want to show from a firearms perspective?
Look, yeah, so a couple of other facilities. Another big one with certainly a lot of the firearms dealers I've spoken to is special orders for products. They'll have someone come in. There might be something they've seen online or they saw in store a few weeks ago and they want to place an order for that. So you can manage all of that directly through the system. So from anywhere in the system, I could be halfway through processing an invoice in, or I could be in a transaction and I can do a stock lookup. I could put a keyword in here to search for a product. I could add its barcode in, or I can put its code in. I know this one is B-scope. Sorry, find it. It's not. Got it wrong. Just under. All right, I'm going to keyword search for it. And just while I'm doing that, you can see I've got nearly just under 13,500 products in my system.
Right.
For me to search for a product, so I'm just going to search for Bushnell. Search. That's how quick it'll go through your entire database to find anything with that keyword in it. And that's regardless of if that keyword is at the beginning, middle, or end of the description, it'll find it.
Excellent.
So
speed really is pretty good. I mean, in terms of being able to find things, it's nice and quick.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got to find my product now.
So just while you're doing that, with the stock items, you've got your description, you've got your barcode, you've got your supplier stock code. Yep. So I've got all of the bits of information that are necessary in my business, but also in my supplier businesses so that we can talk the same connection, if you like, when we're placing orders with suppliers.
Yeah, correct. Yep. Yep. So I found my product now. So I've got my Bushnell Forge 10x42 terrain roof binocular. I can see its code with my supplier, and I can see I should have one on the floor. So I should have one of these in stock. It's $8.25. But look, let's say I can't find that. I can hit OK to do my lookup on it. Right. And that'll find the entire history of that product. So down the bottom here, I can see every time I've received it, and I can see my pricing information. So I can see whether the cost and retail fluctuate.
Okay.
Now, if I didn't have any of these in stock and you turned around and said, yep, can you get one of those in for me? I can hit my order this item button. It's going to put it onto my next reorder report with Tasco, and I can click in customer, and I'm going to add a new customer in. So I'll go through this process. So if I was adding you in, Mark, and I went, Mark, lecture, I'd grab a couple of key details. I'd grab your mobile number and your email.
Yep.
If I can spell. Yep. Now I've got a tick box here for allow SMS for this customer, and I'll come back to that one in a second. I can put in any extra details. So I'm going to grab your firearms license details as well. Yep. So I'm just going to put that in, and I'm going to grab your expiry, and I'm just going to say it's 2022. So I can track all of that information in the system. I could grab your birth date. I'm not going to. And I could also track any categories and interests that you might have. So I could flag you as being a hobby farmer or a range shooter or an enthusiast or whatever interests and categories I want to track you as. And that will allow me to then market to you using those facilities we spoke about before. But for the sake of this, I'm doing a special order. I'm just going to hit finish. So I'm going to order one from Tasco for Mark Fletcher. Hit OK. Yep. Do I want to charge you a deposit? Look, I'm not going to worry about it. I'll sell it either way, and you're a good customer, so I'll let you get away with that. But I absolutely could, and I'm just going to finalise that. that's now placed that on order for you. So when that product next comes in, when I next receive that in, it'll stop and say, hey, don't forget that's on order for Mark Fletcher.
Right.
It's then going to print a pricing label with your details on it, so I know to put it aside for you. And in the background, it would send you a text message or email to say, hey, Mark, your Bushnell Forge has just come in. Come and pick it up when you're ready.
So you can do this, or a staff member can do this. And if they're off when that item comes in, whoever else is working in the business processes are in place through the software to make sure that we deal with that product consistently.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll just, it's very, very hands off. You simply preset that order. That's doing a bunch of things in the background as well. So if I put that on order for you, that has also automatically put it onto my next reorder report in the background with Tasco. So even the person that handles that ordering process, they're not going to miss placing the order so that you get your product at the end of the day.
Excellent. Hey, I'm just very aware of the time, so I want to ask you a couple of quick questions.
Yeah.
If you stop sharing the screen and let's do it full screen mode.
Yeah.
So from a firearms perspective, the sort of things we're talking about here are the things that you're aware that firearms dealers are using the software for.
And that's just a snippet of it. Like there's a heap of other facilities.
Well, I was going to say, there's a whole lot more to the software than what we've just covered here. But what about something like the Zero Link? Are firearms dealers using the software to connect directly to Zero and therefore save bookkeeping time?
Yeah, they are. So the Zero Link has become very, very popular over the last couple of years. Website integration has become huge, like we spoke about before, sending across the products, the customer information and synchronizing that.
Right.
It's become quite big facilities.
And what about the practical things like my end of day balance of the business where I want to, count the money in the till and therefore track that? I'm assuming the software does all of that for me.
Yeah, all standard, yeah.
All the standard point of sale thing.
Yeah, correct.
But then let's say I'm in a situation where I've got 2 or 3 shops. I can't be in the shops all of the time. And, I'm a bit suspicious from time to time about staff members. So I just want to check to see that people are doing things correctly. Have I got some tools that I, as the owner of the business, can use just to check to see that they're behaving appropriately with the software?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a bunch of tools for that. So certainly you can remote connect to it. So if you do want to look at any information, you can. We've got the visual deck, which relays the information through to an online dashboard to look up information. But there's also the audit log in the background. So if you do have concerns about, whether someone's deleting sales, cancelling sales, or doing anything like that, anything that's even slightly suspicious in the system is all recorded in a log.
Yep.
You can set those events to also email or SMS through to you as the owner so that you get notification if anything suspicious is happening.
Okay. It's fair to say that you and I, from a Tower point of view, we're at kind of the front end. We're not the developers of the software. So we're representing the software. But we have in our business, we have programmers who are developing the software. We've got a software development manager who oversees the design of the software. We've got separate web developers and a web development team. And then we've got a help desk full of tech people who are there to answer questions 24/7 on the software. So we get the easy job of kind of talking with customers and meeting them and telling them all the cool stuff about the software. But really, the real engine of the company is behind us in people who are working to really make sure that the software is awesome, that it's backed by really good support, and that the software continues to evolve.
Yeah, and local support as well. No crazy switchboards or overseas diversions. As bad as that sounds, it's just real people waiting to take your call.
Okay. Now, when you are dealing with a firearms dealer, are there questions, common questions that you would get from them that we've not covered today?
Look, I would say that would be the bulk of it. I mean, there's other things like secondhand goods tracking, and we've got facilities built into the system for that.
So when you say secondhand goods tracking, you mean where you buy goods from a customer and you track their details, and then you're able to sell those goods to somebody else. And when you sell it to them, you can give them the details of the previous owner.
Yeah, look, not necessarily provide them with those details, but certainly record who the person was that sold you that firearm, what price you paid for it, then what price you on sell it for, track any cleaning costs or extra, fees and charges associated with that transaction.
Yep.
Even, as far as tracking the seller, it'll do all of the ID checks and things like that. So you can record driver's license details, firearm license details, track all of that against that customer at the same time.
So look, some practical questions. The software costs what?
So the software, there's a couple of different methods to purchase it, presently, but the most common way is through our rental or subscription offer. That has a once-off onboarding fee of $2,750, which includes data conversion, pre-installation planning, and 2 days of pure one-on-one remote installation time.
So that installation and training is just for that business alone?
Correct, yeah. So it's one person dedicated to them purely for 2 days. So, we're not kind of sharing that workload. It's just one person purely for them in an online instance.
And then the ongoing rental cost?
Is $199 per 30 days. And that includes access on unlimited machines, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week support, software updates, unlimited ongoing training opportunities.
So just on the unlimited machines, because you mentioned that. So let's say in my particular shop, I've got an office, I've got 3 registers. So that's 4 computers that I'm running on in the shop. So that $199 gives me the licensing necessary for all 4 computers.
Absolutely, yeah.
And if I had 10 computers, it's nothing extra.
No different. The only thing, if you had 10 computers, I'd probably say we might want to allow for some extra installation and training time. Just that generally means more staff, more requirements.
Okay.
But that's the only thing that would change with that.
And you also said as part of that, there's unlimited training. So if I've got somebody who needs training, for example, on doing a stock take come June next year, I could get them to do some training with one of the training people and it wouldn't cost me anything extra.
No, not a cent more. You just jump on the website, there's a booking option and book them a 2-hour session. No restrictions on that whatsoever.
Excellent. Okay, well, I think we've pretty much covered the basics at least. It is specialty software, so it's got a lot of rich facilities specific to the marketplace. Basic things like FPOS integration and those sort of things are there. Loyalty tools, we've got those as well.
Heaps of loyalty tools. I mean, we've got dozens of videos on that facility alone. There's, we really haven't scratched the surface on everything else.
So if somebody wants to go a step further and they want to see this software demonstrated by you or one of your sales colleagues one-on-one, that's available?
Absolutely. Just reach out. We'll do a demonstration just like this and make your head spin.
and from that point of view, if I'm a firearms dealer and I want to have my staff see it and I want to have my accountant see it, you're happy to do all that too?
Yeah. So look, by default, if I do a demonstration with someone, it might be with, possibly just the owners to start with, but more than happy to either do a secondary demo with other staff, or if they're open to it, I can simply record the session and they can share it with whoever they like after the fact.
Excellent. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, Tim.